welcome to the Healing Uncensored podcast. My name is Sarah Small, and I'm a life and success coach for empaths who want to create a thriving body, business, and life. Healing my own chronic illnesses as an empath led me to become fascinated with energy, and more specifically, all of the emotional, spiritual, and holistic healing modalities my doctor never told me about. I began to share my insights and journey online, and over time built a powerful community and business supporting women who were also on the pathway to healing. Think of this podcast as your uncensored and no BS guide to navigating life, health, and entrepreneurship as an empath. You'll get no nonsense and totally holistic tips from me in real time as I navigate this healing journey right beside you. Now, let's get started. Welcome to today's episode. I am so delighted to have Emma Mumford as my guest today. She is an award-winning life coach and mentor, as well as a YouTuber, best-selling author, speaker, and host of Spiritual Queen's Badass podcast, which I had the honor of being on. Emma's work focuses on helping you turn your dream life into an abundant reality using the law of attraction. In today's conversation, we talk about not just the 3, but the 5 steps to manifesting your desires with the law of attraction, as well as how to build this positively wealthy life using all of our manifesting powers. I know you guys are going to take some really actionable, tangible steps away from what Emma has to teach today, so let's get right into it. Hello and welcome to the show, Emma. I'm so glad to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited.
So we are going to be talking about wealth, money, abundance, manifestation today. So many amazing buzzwords, but I want to really break it down into an understandable and tangible way for the listeners and for the audience. So I'd love to start with, what does manifestation mean to you? What is your definition of manifestation?
Of course, good question. So we've probably all heard of the law of attraction before, and manifesting from big books, like The Secret and Rhonda Byrne's novels, books, should I say, not novels. So you may be aware of the law of attraction already, but manifesting to me personally means, we're all souls having a human experience. So we're able to manifest our heart's desires and be able to, what we put out into the world comes back to us. So see the law of attraction a bit like a boomerang. What you put out comes back to you. Yeah. So that can be good emotions, that can be materialistic things like finances, cars, careers, lovers, etc. But you can use it for emotions as well. So really what I would say manifesting is taking control of your life and creating the life of your dreams to what you see your life as. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, as Tony Robbins says. So really it's about taking control of that and saying, like, if you're not happy where you are at the moment, you absolutely have the power and control to change that and manifesting into your life, into your reality, that will help you live a more fulfilled and happier life.
I think you defined that so well, and there's so many people who are always wondering, how do I become a better manifester? How do we start to what we put out there in order to get back what we want? How do we get better at that? How do we become a more powerful manifester?
I think that's a question on everybody's lips. And I think it's about understanding. You have to excuse me, I've got a cold today as well. So sorry if my voice sounds awful. I'm recovering at the moment, but I'm powering through. So, I think definitely learning the 5 steps of law of attraction is something that definitely helped me. So traditionally, you may be aware of the 3 steps, which is ask, believe, receive. But when I wrote my first book, Spiritual Queen, I really, throughout my manifesting journey over the last 4 or 5 years now, I was like, there's more to this. When I was manifesting in the earlier days, I found it hard, and I was thinking, okay, some things come to me easily, some things don't. Why? And it really intrigued me that there were other people out there when I joined law of attraction forums and communities that were also having these problems. So I started to kind of talk about law of attraction and spirituality on my YouTube and things like that. So at the time, I actually wasn't a spiritual entrepreneur. I was a money-saving entrepreneur. So I started to kind of drip feed these things in. in, and the kind of feedback I was getting was, you're right, Emma, there are like more steps to this, which, you know, a lot of law of attraction teachings do miss out. So I made it my mission with my first book to really explore what those 5 steps were. Well, more than 3 steps. I kind of decided there should be at least 5, and I'm sure there's probably more, but I feel in my heart that these 5 are the most important. So ask is the first one. So that's a traditional step as well. So setting those intentions, being clear, having clarity on your desires, because a lot of the time people may think, I really would love this, I would love a lover, I would love a husband, wife, I'd love a dog, I'd love a house, but they don't know the specifics of that. So you can be manifesting those things at every corner, but if you're not specific enough and saying, like, you know, for instance, with manifesting a lover, if you aren't specific with those qualities of that person, you could end up manifesting someone exactly like your exes, which is probably not what you want if they're your exes.
Right.
So having clarity is key. And the best way to do that is not just with love, with every aspect of your life, is to look at it and say, what do I not like about the things that are in my life currently, or exes, for example? What did I not like about that? And how would I like to feel about these things, and how would I like to experience these things in the future? So that's how you can get clarity. So asking can be setting intentions verbally, writing goals down, writing intentions down, doing vision boards, things like that. There are multiple ways you can ask. Even by thinking, you're asking the universe. I'm sure all of us have had those moments where we thought of something and then like an hour later it happens, or that person gets in touch. You're like, whoa, how did that happen? That's so freaky. And this is all the law of attraction. So there are multiple ways to ask, but you definitely only need to ask once. The universe hears you. So have that clarity and don't overdo it. The universe is hearing you loud and clear. And then the second step is to believe. So this is where the real work starts for you. So when we step into the belief stage, that's where we really have to address everything that's within us, which is blocking us from receiving our manifestations currently. So love's a great one to use as an example here. So if you were trying to manifest a partner, for example, then look at the blocks and triggers within you. Do you feel worthy of love? Do you have self-love? Do you feel that do you believe in the law of attraction? Do you believe it can help attract this partner to you? You know, if you are feeling negative in terms of feeling single at the moment, then there's something there to be worked on. So the belief stage is where you really work on the limiting fears and beliefs that you may have within yourself, and work to remove these so you can become an energetic match to your desires.
Yeah.
Then the third step is a new step that I've added in, which is to let go. So this is a big step that is missed out of the law of attraction, and one that definitely as a Virgo I could have used in the beginning. Like I used to be a controller, and I used to have to know when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen. I had to know all the details, otherwise my Virgo self was freaking out. Well, really with the law of attraction, that does not work. This is co-creation with the universe. You have to meet the universe 50% of the way with your inspired action, and the universe is going to meet you 50% of the way as well. So this may seem like a backward step, because many people think, hang on, Emma, I have to ask, believe, and then you're telling me to let go of this thing? How does that make sense? So what I mean by let go is to not just forget about it and say, oh, it's never going to happen. You're still holding that end goal, but you're releasing the attachment to it. So if you're feeling desperate for this thing, if you're feeling attached to it and controlling, this is just mirroring that kind of energy back to you. So you want to feel in a relaxed place where you're detached from the outcome, the hows, the whens, the whys, the ifs, the buts, whatever. Detached from all of it and trust in the universe. So surrendering and letting go is definitely a process. It's not something you can just click your fingers and it's done. It is a consistent process where you have to remind yourself to let go, check in with yourself, and make sure you're not becoming crazy with your manifestations. But definitely an important step. And then the fourth step is also a new one, which is to trust. Now, many people may think this is the same as belief, but actually trusting is where, so in your belief stage, you'll actually be taking your inspired action. So if you want to manifest winning the lottery, for example, you've got to play the lottery. So this is where you have to show up a little bit. You've got to take some inspired action. If you want to manifest a lover, get yourself on some dating sites, get yourself ready for that person. If you want to manifest a career, start applying for jobs. You need to take that little bit of action, because the universe is not just going to deliver it all to your front door. So you've got to take action. So in your trusting stage, the fourth stage, this is where you have taken your inspired action, you're surrendered, you're let go, you're detached from the outcome, and you are trusting in divine timing. So divine timing is a big thing, because we want it now, 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 now. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to understand that it's not just us who are working to create these manifestations. The universe is at play too. So if it is not for our highest good to have that thing right now, we have to trust that. Because I've done this before, and I'm sure everybody can, listening, who has done manifestation. Sometimes you've manifested something really quick, and then it's actually not been the right time for it to happen, and you're like, oh damn, like I lost that, or it didn't work out. And then later on down the line it does work out, and you're like, oh, now I understand. So you don't want what's not meant for you. So definitely when you're manifesting, always say at the end, this or something greater for the highest good of all. It's like a little safety net, that of just saying, this would be fantastic, but if you've got something better planned, universe, I'm here for it. I trust in that. So that's your trusting step. And then your fifth step is to receive, which is where you can celebrate, where you get your manifestation and you're like, whoop, whoop, this is fantastic. So definitely be grateful when that happens. Really take it in, be present, and don't just go to the next thing. Be present and just be grateful that the universe has brought this manifestation to you.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that stand out to me in my own process as you were describing that beautiful 5 steps versus 3 steps of the law of attraction. And I'm so glad that you reminded us in that second step of believe that it does require some inspired action. Like we do have to do something. You have to apply to the job, or you have to go sign up for those dating sites or whatever is in alignment with the thing, the goal that you're trying to manifest in your life. And I think that gets left out of the big movies like The Secret as well. As like, we also do have to take some action in order for this to be a full, complete manifestation process. And I think you also mentioned really beautifully trust. And to me, it's so easy to want to stop trusting when I said I wanted to manifest, let's say, like 20 people inside of a program, and it's the night before the cart closes and there's only 15 people. And it's so easy in those moments to be like, oh, I failed, like it's just not going to work. But I think the test of the true manifester, and when you actually get what you desire, is in the last couple steps, the last hour, the last minute. You still trust even when it looks like it's not going to happen, or it feels like you have to have this big leap, or like a miracle has to freaking roll into your life for it to actually happen. But you still trust at the very moment before the finish line when it looks like it's not going to happen. Have you experienced that in your own manifestations before, where you're like, it would be so easy for me right now to be like, oh, it sucked, it failed, whatever, throw in the towel, and instead you continue to believe?
Totally. And we're all human. We all have this. And, it's a really good example you gave there. And what I use in my own process and say to people is, okay, you're stressed, you've noticed you've got a couple hours left before your course closes. You've got 15 out of 20 people. What's the worst thing that can happen here? So my question to you, Sarah, and obviously anybody listening would be, what's the worst thing that could happen? And this is where you break down the ego, because that's the ego piping up like, you need those 20 people, like you failed. But actually it's like, hold on a minute, let's celebrate 15 people have signed up to your work, trust you, vibe you, and want to work with you. Like, take the gratitude in that moment to be like, okay, it's not the full 20, but my God, 15 is incredible. So when you turn that lack into appreciation, your whole game shifts, because you're not putting out that lack vibe, you're putting out that abundant, grateful vibe, where it doesn't matter if you manifest it or not, because you're grateful for exactly where you are right now. So really, if you are in that stage where you're like, well, it's not exactly, the right figure or the right amount of money or the right amount of people, just stop yourself in your tracks. That's your ego talking, and, return to your soul and say, actually, I'm going to be really grateful for how well I have done already with this, because it's still a great success. I've put in the work, I've showed up. And if only 15 people are meant to sign up, then that's what's meant to happen right now. And that doesn't mean to say that next time when you open it up again or do it again, that even more people would sign up. And the thing to remember here is sustainability. This is a big theme of my next book, because we can, and I've seen this, and I will hold my hands up and admit this as well. You know, in business, we're like, it would be great to have like a 6-figure business. How will this success? How will these people sign up? And I recently launched a membership, and I was like, you know, people were asking me like, how many members would you love to have? How much money would you love to earn? And I thought, God, I haven't even really thought of that. I've just been like so focused on actually getting it up and like running that, you know, I haven't even set that intention yet. And I just, you know, for me, it was really good to actually manifest from a surrendered place this time of what is meant to be will be. Like whoever is meant to be a part of this membership will be a part of this membership.
Yeah.
And I actually exceeded all of my expectations by having that relaxed approach. So sometimes we put restrictions on our own manifestations. And I did this with my first book and things in the past where I was like, I want to have X amount of blah, 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 blah. And I hit it. But then I thought, hang on a minute. What if the universe had something even greater planned for me? So with the membership, this is a great example to just have no expectations whatsoever and just show up, you know, be of service, create a great platform for people and surrender it and just say, whoever is meant to be in here will be here. And I blew every expectation I ever had. So really, you know, ask yourself that question today as well. Am I restricting myself here? Now, that's not to say, you know, go for like millions of pounds and dollars and then you're like, God, I really don't believe this, because then you really have to believe that statement as well. But really just having that relaxed approach sometimes to manifesting can really help, where you focus on being of service instead of the numbers and figures, etc.
Yeah. I love that you talk about the celebration within that last step of receive as well, because myself, I highly driven entrepreneur, and I am somebody who holds myself to really high standards. And if let's use the example of a course, because I launch a ton of courses, even if it's like 19, but my goal was 20, there's still that little ego voice that can creep in and be like, oh, well, you didn't hit 20. And then it feels like I'm not able to celebrate as big. And I've really looked at that in my own life to be like, what, like 19 is freaking, this is just an example, but like if it were 19 and my goal were 20, like that's still freaking awesome. And like you said, well, maybe that 19 is exactly the number that was supposed to be inside of this course or this program. And so I've really started to notice when I resist or retract from the celebration because I'm being hard on myself, too hard on myself, versus when I allow myself to celebrate the success and achievements that I have created anywhere in my business. And I feel like you could probably relate, Emma, in that you have a lot of moving pieces within your business and as the spiritual queen, and just this beautiful business that you've built. And I'm sure you have much more that you want to create and want to achieve in your business and in your life. And so how do we remember to me, I'm like constantly practicing this, but are there any tips that you have to celebrate even the wins that weren't exactly as you, but like we're trying to control them to happen, and instead really be honoring and gentle towards ourselves and what we do achieve, even when we have really big goals and we want to do so much on this planet?
Definitely, and it's a question which myself, you, and probably every entrepreneur or anybody, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to have this kind of inner ego battle as such. But one of the points I brought up in the last question, which I didn't actually follow up on, is sustainability. And with that, I really had to like check in with myself and say, right, you have these fantastic goals, amazing. Like, it's great to be a dreamer. It's great to have these goals and ambition, of course. But then, my friend sat me down one day and really like woke me up to this and said, Emma, if you were to have, like, let's use an example, if you were to have like 5,000 people sign up to your membership, sign up to this, sign up to an event, whatever it may be, buy your book, whatever, would you sustainably be able to handle that demand? And this really intrigued me because I thought, interesting.
Yeah.
And then I started to look into other businesses, not just coaches and everything, but look into business in general, because that's what I do. I coach businesses. So I was like, right, I need to like explore this myself in order to be able to explore this with others. And what I found was that businesses that had overnight successes like celebrity endorsements, influencer endorsements, and they absolutely blew up overnight, for example, failed very quickly afterwards. And the reason is like they had thousands of orders. But they were a small business and they weren't able to cope with the demand. They weren't able to grow with that sudden impact and sudden increase at a rate that was comfortable to them.
Mm-hmm.
So if we apply that to, coaches and kind of spiritual businesses here, well-being businesses, ask yourself, if you were to become an overnight success tomorrow, do you have the staff? Do you have the team, the capabilities, the technology, the space to be able to handle that demand? The answer is probably no. And actually ask yourself, does it feel even comfortable to even think about that? Because I know myself, if my company blew up tomorrow in a good way, I would be like, I wouldn't know what to do. Like, I'm a one-man band still. So I would be inundated with orders, with things, probably emails, admin. So you have to ask yourself here, the universe has a plan. The universe knows what it's doing. So trust here. This is that trust stage. Because like Sarah said, if it's 19 people out of 20, celebrate that. That is what you are ready for. And, don't beat yourself up here. You showed up, you did the work. Give yourself a pat on the back because you showed up. Some people don't even get that far. So the fact you even took that big leap, launched it, did whatever it was you were, launching and birthing into the world is fantastic. Like, you're showing up for your purpose. Like, that's an incredible reason to celebrate. But also growing with, steadily and at a pace that feels comfortable to you will help you expand and grow in a fantastic way. Whereas if you just suddenly got that overnight success that you're craving so much, the 6-figure business, the thousands of sales, can you handle that currently? Are you ready and prepared for that? Because we can manifest things, but if we are not prepared or in that right place to sustainably keep it, it's not going to stay in your life. So what's the point?
Yeah, this is so relatable, Emma. I've had these big leaps in my business, both in number of people signing up for an offer and financially. And then I find myself taking a couple steps back to then regroup in the back end of my business and making sure everything's organized and that we can support that much income and that many people. And then we move forward again. And then we take a couple steps back and we move forward. And finally this year, I'm like, okay, so I noticed this, I see what's happening. And I've really started to build a team that can support me. And therefore we can all support my business as the empowered empath. And so I'd love to talk more specifically about money and building, especially with your book coming out, Positively Wealthy, a healthy relationship with money, because I would say 9 out of 10 people, maybe even 10 out of 10 people that I talk to within the empowered empath community, they would say, no, I do not have a healthy relationship with money. I either think I'm irresponsible, or I come from a place of lack or scarcity, or I believe there's never going to be enough, or I'm not worthy. I mean, the internal dialogue is endless. So many things can be happening inside our minds in that relationship with money. So I'd love, love, love to hear from you, Emma. How do we start to build a healthy relationship with money?
Of course. So the first step is to get honest with where you're at the moment, because if we don't have acceptance of where we are, how can we be grateful for what we have and how can we move forward? So for instance, if you're in debt, debt is a big money block. I've been in debt myself at only 20 years old. I had £7,000 worth of debt. That's how I started my money saving business. And it's kind of ironic how my money saving tips are now coming full circle again to now be spiritual money tips as well. So I've dealt with money, and I used to be a banker as well. So money has always fascinated me, even before I had my spiritual business and my money saving business. So you need to have acceptance of where you're at. If you're in debt, it's okay. Look at, the biggest thing people do is bury their heads with debt. They don't know how much debt they have. So a good example of this was I was trying to manifest being debt free. And for about 5-6 months, kept setting this intention, nothing showed up. Everything else did, apart from this. And it baffled me of, I'm being clear what's happening here. And then one day it hit me. I was using the words debt free, not I wish to manifest X amount of money to be debt free. I had no idea of how much debt I had anymore. I was paying it off monthly, but I had no idea. So how can I be grateful for the money I have and have acceptance of the situation when I had absolutely no clue?
Mm-hmm.
So that night I sat down, logged onto my internet banking, looked at the debt and was like, okay, how does that feel to me? How does that sit? Okay, it doesn't feel great, but I can manifest this money. And from that place where I knew that figure and had that clarity within 5 days, so I needed, I think it was about £6,000 at that point, I manifested within 5 days £11,000 from a brand new source, new income, new opportunity, didn't know it was coming, and obviously had, I hadn't earned it in any other area of my business. It's a brand new opportunity. So for me, I was gobsmacked because the universe showed up, not just with the £6,000, but nearly double. So I was able to then reinvest that in my business and do some other amazing things as well to grow my business once I was debt free. So you can see here, being clear on your financial situation is the first step with this, because being grateful for where you're at the moment is the key with law of attraction. So you may think you're being grateful, but are you? Do you know what you're grateful for? Do you know the amount of money you currently have to your name? So even if you don't have debt, do you know how much money you actually have to your name right now? Do you have savings locked away that you have no idea about? Because all of this, once you have that figure, you know how much to be grateful for, and also you know how much to then manifest. So for instance, if you're trying to manifest a holiday or money for a new car, if you don't know your current financial situation, how do you know how much you need to manifest? So sit with your finances, get real, sit with the feelings if there is debt involved or it's not where you want to be right now, because those feelings are your feedback, and that's where you know you need to work on things. So get real with your finances and see what emotions come up for you. The next step is, I would say, using affirmations. So how do you speak about money? Now, I'm not going to come on here and say all the negative affirmations in the world because I don't want to manifest it myself, but we are all aware of the negative self-talk that we have with money. Saying to people when you don't have money, statements like you're skint, etc., you don't have any money, like, stop saying this now, because you're affirming it with the universe. Now, that's not to say you have to go around saying, I'm a millionaire, because truly, are you going to believe that right now? You have to believe that statement to truly embody it and manifest it. So you equally don't have to go to the other side of the scale and go over the top. Just talk positively about money, and stop yourself if you find yourself saying, just about to say a negative affirmation, stop and switch it to a positive. And equally, if you're in a situation where someone's inviting you out or someone's inviting you to something and it doesn't feel good to spend that money at the moment, instead of saying, I don't have the money, what you can say is thank you so much for inviting me, but at the moment I'm choosing not to spend money, but next time let's definitely do it. So just things like that. Instead of using that negative statement, switch it into where you are in control, but you're still honoring your feelings. And you can do another great exercise, which is called rewriting your money story. So a bit like affirmation style as well. You can do it as a letter, use affirmations, whatever feels good to you. Go where you intuitively feel drawn with this, but rewrite your story. So it may help you to actually write your current story by writing your current beliefs down, just so you can see what stories your ego is telling you. And then what you can do after that is burn that letter, so you release it to the universe, and then rewrite your story. So what you want to do in that letter is write all of the things you would like your relationship with money to be. So you can write things like, I have a positive and healthy relationship with money. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly. I always have more money than I can spend each month. Those sort of statements. Write a letter to yourself and rewrite your money story, and then keep that. You could put some crystals around it. You could put it on your little spiritual altar, wherever feels good. Keep that money story and read it out regularly to affirm that as your reality. And then another great tip is called mindful spending. And it's really simple, but oh my God, when I realized I was doing this and called it an actual technique, I was like, oh wow, we really do unmindfully spend a lot of the time. So mindful spending is, once you kind of look at your household bills, your necessities each month, you look at your luxury budget of sort of, how much money you have to spend for the month and how much you have to spend on luxuries. And then from that place, only spend when it feels good. So for instance, if you are out and you're like, I want to buy these clothes, I want to spend all this money and it doesn't feel good to you energetically once you spent that money. So, when you get home and you've bought that item, are you going to feel good about it? Because realistically, if you're going to look at your bank balance and think, oh, I really shouldn't have spent that, oh, now I feel worse about my situation, you're putting out that negative energy. So what you really want to do is only spend when it feels good. Will that item bring you joy? Will you wear that dress more than 3 times? Like, really check in with yourself, because if that item will bring you genuine joy, the energy when you see that item, the energy when you wear that item will, positively contribute to your finances as well. So something as simple as that can really change your relationship with money and actually make you feel more abundant, meaning you manifest more money as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's so many people listening who want to do just that. They want to manifest more money. And I relate to a few of the tips that you were just talking about. I started my business in my mid to late 20s, and I was still very much I would repel looking at my bank statements. I would repel checking my bank balance because there was so much fear and so much scarcity and so much lack associated with what wasn't there, and how little money I had and how little I was paid in my past job and career. And I finally heard from a money coach, a money teacher I was following online, this idea of like, let's actually have a relationship with our money. And to me, it was like that relationship was almost non-existent. It was avoidant in the past. And when I finally sat down and looked at my money and realized when I started my business, I was in $25,000 US dollars worth of debt, that didn't feel good, but then I could create a plan around it. And eventually I chipped away at it until I eventually was making that much in a month. And I was looking at my bank statements, and now I look at my bank account almost every single day. I'm constantly transferring money from my PayPal over to my business checking account. And it feels so empowering, but it didn't start that way. I had to get real with it. I had to start looking at it, even when it was uncomfortable, to then start to feel empowered and really aware of where my money was going and where it was coming from, and that flow of in and out. And for so long, I was motivated by, you mentioned this about manifesting the 6,000 pounds to pay off the credit card in your case. And I was motivated by moving away from what I didn't want, right? Away from debt, away from scarcity, away from lack. But that only gets us so far. And like you said, then you think about, what do I actually want? Well, I don't want just 6,000 pounds. I want 11 or 12 or 13,000 pounds. And then you start to be motivated by this positive drive of, what are you moving towards? What do you actually want and desire? So that away from motivator can get us light a fire under our ass and get us moving. But then I think eventually we do need to move towards that. Well, if you don't have this, or once you've healed that, what would you like? Like, how much do you want? What does that wealth and abundance look like? Or how would that feel like for you in a positive way of what you're moving towards? And the second I heard it described that way in my NLP training, I was like, oh my God, I've been moving away from pain like my whole life, instead of moving towards pleasure, towards desire. And then I started shifting the way I was writing my goals, the way I was manifesting my money, and it just completely transformed everything. So I'd love to hear from you, Emma, about wealth as a whole. And again, this is a sticky conversation for a lot of people because they still are in that avoidance place of being afraid to open bank accounts, or just not feeling empowered by money. So how do we redefine our version of what wealth truly is and what it means to us in our life?
Good question. And wealth is such, a tricky term to talk about, because when we talk about wealth, if you would hear someone say, I'm manifesting wealth, you would think they mean money. Mm-hmm. We all associate wealth with money, success, money. So this really became a big topic in my life, which inspired me to write my new book. When I hit every goal on my vision board. So I created a vision board a few years ago, and I hit everything. I manifested the love, the house, the career, the money, being debt-free, book deal, everything. I manifested it all. And the last thing was to sell my couponing business, which was my money saving business. So I wanted to sell that business so I could, transition into being a spiritual coach full time and doing all of this full time. And it took about a year, and then the perfect buyer came along. It was amazing. And then I was sat there waiting for the money to hit my bank account, and I thought, Emma, when this money hits your account, like, you've done it, girl. You've manifested everything. Your life's going to change. You're going to be a completely different person. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Life's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the money hit my account, and I felt no different. I felt unfulfilled. I felt that, yes, I hit everything on my goals list, but something was missing. And I felt like the most ungrateful person in the world. I thought, oh my God, Emma, like, you have manifested everything. You were so selfish. You were so ungrateful. Like, how can you be sat here feeling bad right now? And I realized it was because I was chasing the wrong version of wealth. So I had focused so much into my work, into my career, I neglected my personal life. And it was at that moment that I realized something had gone terribly wrong for me. And these could be subtle. It doesn't have to be a big moment like this for yourself. But this was a big wake-up call for me of, why did you think that these things would have fulfilled you? Why did you think that manifesting these things would have made you feel better? Why don't you feel good right now? Go deep within. And I realized that it was because my personal life and my relationships and like creating that family and like having family and friends and a lover around me, I'd neglected it all. They were kind of like, deteriorating as such, those relationships, because I was so focused on the wrong version of wealth. So really, wealth to me is not money or success or validation. Wealth to me is to have family, love, and fulfillment. Now, wealth will be something different to every single person. It doesn't have to be the same to what my version of wealth is. But what I want to challenge you to think about today is, what is your version of wealth? Like, really get clear on that, because you don't want to end up like me, where I manifested it all and then thought, oh, why do I feel so bad? And then I had to go on a whole year-long journey to really work on my fulfillment, really work on those wounds and blocks within me to make sure these things were sustainable, because I was manifesting things and they weren't sustainable. I wasn't fulfilled inside. And a big key thing to law of attraction is you won't manifest the true fulfillment and things you want in life until you do the inner work. And that's what I hadn't done. So yes, on paper, I'd manifested it all, but really the reality of my life wasn't as glitzy and amazing and happy and probably what all my followers like thought my life was like. I was like, on the inside, how have I got here? Like, I show up, I share all of this stuff with the world. How am I here? And I realized because I was neglecting the within. I was neglecting my real version of wealth and what really I wanted to move towards in that phase of my life. So really ask yourself, what is your version of wealth, and where do you currently not feel wealthy in your life? So wealth means every aspect of your life: relationships, career, purpose, home life, money, everything. That is wealth. Where do you currently not feel wealthy in? And that's where you can start from, because when you look at where you don't feel wealthy currently, you can then think, right, I need to work on those things. How can I work on those areas so that overall I do feel positively wealthy?
Yeah, that's such a different and more empowering way to look at wealth, because I've had clients come to me and they have money goals, and I think it's great to have money goals. I have money goals, but there's always, I find when I ask my clients a deeper why behind the money goals. Okay, you want 10,000, 20,000, a six-figure year, like whatever it is that you desire. My guess is for the majority of people, and this has been the case with, again, my personal experience with clients, is it's not just that they want that money to sit in their bank account. It either gives them an emotion or a feeling that they're craving or they desire, or it allows them to do something in their life that builds wealth in those other areas like you were talking about, maybe travel or in relationships or in their home life or home environment or experiences, the richness of experiences they get to have and get to experience with their family, their friends, their loved ones. And that's really why they want the money. They don't literally want, in most cases, I think, stacks of money sitting on their desk. Like, that could be fun, but the deeper why is the emotion that it brings them and some sort of fulfillment in that area, or what they get to actually then use that money to do. In my case, I love money to be able to reinvest into my own growth, and I love investing in books and in courses and in live events and experiences to be able to continuously learn, and that's a deep part of my deeper why in wanting literal money that then to me translates into wealth in other areas of my life. And you mentioned also sustainable wealth and abundance, because I think those two words, often wealth and abundance, like you said, are directly correlated to money, when in actuality, wealth and abundance can be applied to so many other aspects of really all areas of our life. So can you talk about the sustainability piece, and that when we are building up our version, because again, it's unique to each of us, what that definition is and what that looks like. But when we're building that definition of wealth or abundance in our lives, how do we do it sustainably so that we don't rebound back into an old way of being or feel lack afterwards?
Of course. So the quickest way, and like I literally filmed a video about this today because it seems to be coming up so much. The quickest way to manifest is through. Stop running from the work. The more you're running, skipping around it, avoiding it, trying to think positive thoughts when all those fears and limiting beliefs are coming up, you're just running away from your manifestations. So do the work. Go within and see where the work needs to be done. So the best way to do this is for me to say to you, your manifestation is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Where in your body does that hurt right now? Mm-hmm. So, it will happen. I'm just using that example.
Yeah.
To, see where in your body that hurts. So for instance, it can relate to your chakras. So we have 7 energetic chakras in our body, if you're familiar with chakras. So for instance, one of my ladies who I worked with the other day said to me, oh, that hurt just underneath my boobs. And I said, okay, that's your solar plexus. This is your confidence. This is your power chakra. This is like your inner roar. And it really related to what she was manifesting as well. So sometimes you can actually connect it to your chakras. So if you're not aware of your chakras, please do go online and look at the positioning of them, because you may be able to relate it to where that just hurt in your body. Mm-hmm. But equally, when I said that, did any thoughts come up? Did any beliefs or ego talk come up? Because again, these are the clues. So see where you feel triggered. Have there been any incidences, circumstances, or people saying things that have made you feel triggered as hell? Like, oh my God, I don't believe this manifestation is going to happen. Look at that feedback. Where do you need to do the work? Mm-hmm. So to make things sustainable is to get to that place where you have healed what needs to be healed within inside you, emotionally, maybe physically as well. So that when you do manifest these things, so love's a great example here. So if you haven't, done that inner work to heal from your previous relationships, maybe heal some limiting beliefs you have around worthiness or self-love, if you were to manifest that partner, are you going to be in the best place possible to have that happy, fulfilling relationship? Or are you just going to continue and bring all the baggage with you, like sort of energetic and emotional baggage with you into that new relationship? So this is important. Like, doing the work doesn't have to be hard. It just requires your consistency and your willingness to do it. So some people have more than others. Some people have less. Like every wound is different. Every belief is different. So like, don't sort of think, oh my God, this is going to take me forever. It really won't. When you show up, that is the quickest way through. That's the quickest way to your manifestations, and the best way for you to be able to keep them as well.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, and something I've been talking a lot about in the podcast as well as on social media has been conscious versus subconscious change. And it's like we can push and we can force and we can power through, and we can see some success in the areas of wealth and abundance in our life when we're consciously like working hard. But like you're saying, when we go through and we do the inner work, that doesn't have to be grueling or hard and can actually be fun sometimes. But when we pause to do that work, then we create change on the subconscious level, which is more of that internal automatic programming that we have stored within us. And of course, when we're tapping into ourselves at that level, then we're going to sustainably change, versus when we change through force, well, eventually we're going to burn out, and then we do see a rebound back into where we started at, or at least a few steps back from where we wanted to be, versus that subconscious change that really helps us look at limiting beliefs and the way that we're operating on a day-to-day basis within our belief system and our values and the energy we put off into the world. And when we change on that level, then things get to be easier moving forward sustainably, like forever, by taking that moment to pause. So I think it's so, so important, like you were saying, Emma, to go inward. And ask these empowering questions and see where we're triggered in our life, because I think those triggers are also really great opportunities to heal. They're messages from our body that something does need to be healed, and we can use books like yours and resources like yours to be able to then work through it, because there's so many tools out there. There's many other tools out there too to be able to work through those things that are perceived as very challenging, but are actually an amazing opportunity for growth. So I just want to say thank you so much. Are there any last words, thoughts, takeaways that you want to give the audience before we wrap up?
Oh, good question. Now I'm put on the spot. I would just say, just trust more than anything. It's so easy to get disheartened and to be like, oh, well, it hasn't happened by now, or something else came along and it wasn't what I wanted, therefore it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. The universe can bring us mini tests sometimes. So sometimes I've had this where an opportunity, like a book deal is my really good example here, an opportunity came up with another publisher and I just wasn't sure about it. And I was like, should I take it because I'm like desperate for this book deal? And I thought, actually, is this the publisher that's aligned to this book? Is this the publisher that really feels good to me and would be able to, have my best interests at heart and all of this? And the answer was no. So if anything, trust your intuition. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, and sit with that. Like, you don't have to make split decisions like that. And when I said no to that publisher, which felt like the worst thing in the world because I was trying to manifest a book deal, an even better publisher came along, which was more aligned to my book, more aligned to my values, and the perfect publisher for that book. So trust in the universe and trust your intuition as well. We all have this powerful intuition within us, our soul, which is our knowing, our kind of psychic abilities as such, and we can tap into that at any point. So those gut feelings, those things which definitely aren't ego, when we've like known someone was going to call us, someone was going to text us, we knew something was going to happen, this is our intuition speaking to us. So the more you tap into it, and you can use oracle cards for this, you can use meditation, work with your intuition, and it will never lead you astray.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today, Emma. I appreciate it so much. In closing, can you just let everyone know where to find you and follow along, and also to purchase your book when it comes out?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on as well. It's been so fun to chat with you today. So if anybody wants to find out about my new book, it's called Positively Wealthy, and it's out on June the 9th. So if you're listening to this before, hopefully it'll be available for pre-order by now. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, all the regular kind of retailers. And that's with Watkins Publishing, if that helps find it. But if you want to find out anything more about myself or anything I do, then you can find me on my website at emmamumford.co.uk, or on my Instagram and other socials, which is I am Emma Mumford.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, lovely.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you guys gained so much from this conversation with Emma. And if you are loving the Healing Uncensored podcast, I would so appreciate it if you could go over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review and your honest feedback. When we were talking today, Emma and I, it also reminded me that I have a training that you might enjoy. It is called Manifesting Money for Your Wellness Goals. It is just $33, and it's available on my site where all my courses live, which is autoimmunetribecourses.com. And it's a 1-hour training to help change your entire relationship with money, so you can stop feeling broke AF and like you can't invest in the things that you truly desire, and instead you get to invest with freedom and work towards your goals and allow yourself to have surplus. So we're going to detox limiting money beliefs and start bringing in the cash money because you deserve it. There's 10 easy steps that I break down in detail in this 1-hour training that, again, help you shift that money mindset. And as long as you show up and you do the work, you're going to feel an energetic shift in your body right away. The results that I've heard from the women who have already been through this 1-hour training have been just amazing and so humbling for me. And I'd love for you to be able to experience that manifestation of money and wealth in your life like Emma and I chatted about today. So definitely check out her book as it comes out. Again, that's Positively Wealthy. And in the meantime, if you're looking for some resources to help you change your money mindset, then this course, Manifesting Money for Your Wellness Goals, is available for you for just $33 on autoimmunetribecourses.com. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.